Gottlieb, System 3, Freddy Nightmare on Elm Street. So I'm playing this game, and this flipper just keeps going like that, about that often during gameplay. And I'm wondering what the heck is going on. So I go to solenoid test, and I'm just going through these different solenoids. Use flipper buttons, you can go through them. And I go to this Freddy's house, and you hit the start button in front of the cabinet, it should fire that flasher. And what it's saying is Freddy's house number 67. That's a flasher bulb. And look, it fires the flipper. Like, what the heck? Alright, so here, let me turn it off, turn it back on, and we'll start up a game, and I'll show you. Alright, so we got a ball in the shooter lane, and we're going, and I plunge the ball, get into Freddy's house there, and look, here we go. Look at that. So instead of the flasher going, the flipper's going, all by itself. These flippers aren't going, but that one is. Wow, that's really weird. So I got all the flashers working except for one. Freddy's head, the boiler, Freddy's house. This is the one that fires the flipper instead of the flashers. And I checked the flasher bulbs, and they're good. That's the last one, so I just gotta figure out what is going on with that. Why Freddy's house, and it flips the flipper. Wow, weird. Alright, I think I found the problem. These two flashers, there and there, are Freddy's house, which is the flasher that fires this flipper right here. So if we look at it, the power wire is this daisy-chained white with the yellow wire, and that goes from here and that goes to here, and I checked them both, and there's 20 volts at the flashers. But if you look at the return wire, it's blue with a brown stripe. So I think it's what they call blue, blue, brown. So white base, blue, blue, brown. And then down here, same thing, white base, blue, blue, brown. So you figure that you'd have, it would control both those flasher bulbs for Freddy's house. But then I go over to the flipper coil. Here's the return, this green, green, black. That actually goes down here to the flipper switch. And that's what controls the flipper from the flipper switch, okay? So that's fine, but why is a blue, blue, brown wire also attached to the flipper coil? What's up with that? So if that is completing the path for ground, that would explain why when I hit the start button on the front of the cabinet, which should fire those flashers, it fires the coil instead. So what I'm going to do is cut that wire. I'm going to cut the wire away from the flipper coil and see if the flashers go off and the coil doesn't. Okay, so I cut the wire off the flipper coil, and then just having it loose did nothing when I pressed the start button on the front of the game, because remember, I'm still testing Freddy's house flashers. It would no longer fire the flipper coil, which is good, but it wasn't firing the flashers either. And the reason why is that these return wire has to daisy chain. So this must have been the main return going up, and then it goes through this wire and up to here, so we get both these flashers. And now when I press the start button on the front of the game, voila, the flashers work and the flipper coil does not. Yet by the flipper buttons, flipper coil still works. So we fixed the problem. Now, why did this happen? How did this wire get soldered to the flipper coil? I don't know. It really looks like a factory thing. Maybe it was a mistake or some other repair guy, but I can't figure out why anybody would do this unless it was just a flat-out mistake. Another thing I noticed was on the boiler, the motor was running continually, and that's because the switches were misadjusted. The top and bottom limit switches were misadjusted, so some adjustment of those, and then it stopped doing that. So now I think, and now with all the flashers working and the flipper not acting weird, I think we're ready to test the game. So here's the skill shot. The skill shot is to try and get it into the boiler. So you got to time it. Got it. And then it spits out of his mouth. Pretty cool, huh? So, and you can see now the flashers are going off in the house, but the flipper is no longer firing. Yet the flipper still works when I flip like that. So now we're all good and we got it working.